I mean, you mentioned earlier about having meltdowns and things like this, and I'm sort of also interested in exploring how parents can, because parents often feel, what do I do? How can I support my child doing it during a meltdown? So to get down and dirty a little bit, um, if you're comfortable with it, what does a meltdown look like? And is there a difference between meltdown in childhood and a meltdown in adulthood?
Meltdowns meltdowns are characterized by I think the most important thing is to go back to that shutdown first. Shutdowns are basically an attempt to conserve energy by the person's brain. Um, Meltdowns usually occur when the person isolates themselves and dissociates a little bit, but there is still a pressure um, to do something and to communicate or to do something that's uncomfortable. And meltdowns are usually characterized by a sort of rolling, increasing amount of anxiety and lack of ability to function. So even myself in adulthood, I sometimes get meltdowns, and it's a combination of probably the worst panic that you can ever imagine, with an inability to communicate. And when we're in meltdowns, we do a lot of this thing called stimming, which is these repetitive actions that help us to relax. And sometimes these things can be quite sort of not bad, in terms of rocking and twisting and possibly having your head and closing your eyes and doing that kind of thing. But then I guess some people, and even myself in teenagehood, there can be a lot of elements of sort of self-injury.
Okay.
It feels almost like there's these insects in your body, and it's extremely painful, and so you just want to get rid of it. You just want to get rid of the thoughts,
Mm,
and the anxiety, and that can sometimes be something that happens. Those self-injurious behaviours, and it can be very hard to watch um, someone in that situation, especially if they are an adult and you do know them to a certain level. And even if they're just your child, it can be very hard to watch someone go through that.
yeah.
After it usually for me it lasts around an hour to 2 hours, but it really depends on the situation and the person's mental state on that day, and what's happening around them and the people that are around them. And after the anxiety starts to sort of wash away a little bit, the person may be quite relaxed,
Yeah.
but there is also elements of shame,
Yeah.
elements of depression
Mm,
when the person comes out of it. Depending on the person, um, it can be a very sort of difficult experience, and if it sort of feels like you want to withdraw from the world and hide yourself and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So
yeah.
that it destroys your confidence quite a lot,
Yeah.
especially if you haven't really thought about it before. The best things that you can do are actually the most simple things. Firstly, make sure that they're set in a safe place, and this safe place can be somewhere where there's like a bed or something, somewhere that there's nothing hard that they can hit their head on, or anything like that. It's also important to try and remove any sort of sensory stimuli, so any bright lights. Some of the best things that you can do is to go to a dark place, give them some headphones, let them listen to whatever music they want to, piano music probably. That's a good one. And then it's always good to exaggerate your facial expressions, your positive facial expressions. Make sure that you tone down the level of your voice, speaking very softly, kindly, friendly, not pressuring them to answer, but giving them choices so that they can just go, yeah, nod their head or say yes, and making sure that you reassure them that it's okay to be in this situation and that
Yeah.
you're there for them and you don't need to do anything. You just need to calm down. So, for example, with the body language and the facial expression stuff, just going, hey, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Everything's all right. Just making sure that you're very soft in your voice and that you're smiling and that you're giving them that reassurance. You may also want to massage them or apply some pressure to them, especially on the shoulders or the feet. Um, that can be a really good thing to do. And if you have a weighted blanket or anything, like the fidget bum, stretchy blanket, that can also sort of quell a lot of the anxiety.
Those are really great suggestions. I especially like the part about assuring them that everything's okay, because you were talking about how the meltdown itself is a release of tension, and I guess that's why you feel relaxed afterwards, because this is built up. But the shame, I guess, is because you don't believe that it's okay to have to go through that and to
You
have
don't want to
behave
put
like
anyone
that.
else through it as well.
Sorry,
You
Thomas.
don't want to put anybody else through it,
Right.
especially like
Yes.
friends, and you
Yeah.
don't want to be a nuisance. And you often feel like a nuisance when it happens.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not something you're choosing. It's almost like what happens is out of your control when it's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that getting that reassurance that everything is fine, that it's fine that this is happening, and that the person with you is fine with it too and can cope with it and is not being put out by it, that must be really, really powerful. As long as it's real, of course, because if it's not, if the person is really feeling stressed and says, "Oh, don't worry, it's all right," then the child or the person
It
is
needs
going
to
to
be
let them down.
genuine
You've got to be genuine.
and exaggerated. Um, you may feel a bit silly doing it, especially if it's an autistic adult, but it can make the difference between a 2-hour meltdown and 20, 30 minutes.
Yes.
Can really make the world, just those simple things that I've suggested.